If we let students use AI, they will never learn to write. They will become dependent on it. They will lose the ability to think for themselves. That is what teachers are saying. And it sounds convincing until you look at what writing instruction has actually been doing for years. That concern assumes the system was already producing strong writers, and it was not. Most students were struggling to develop ideas, build arguments, and revise meaningfully long before AI entered the classroom. The problem did not start with AI. AI is just making it harder to ignore. The old model of writing instruction looked like this. Assign an essay. The student writes it at home with no support. The teacher grades it, hands it back, and moves on. The student learns very little from that process because the feedback comes too late. It is often too general, and there is no real opportunity to apply it. That is not a writing system. That is a completion cycle. AI changes that model if it is used with intention. A teacher can now design a writing process where the student drafts independently first their ideas, their structure, their argument. That first draft matters because it shows what the student can actually do. Then AI becomes a revision partner and not a replacement. The student uses it to identify where their reasoning is unclear, where their evidence is weak, or where the argument does not fully hold. But the critical part is what happens next. The student decides what feedback to accept, what to reject, and how to revise. That evaluation process is the work of writing. Strong writers do not just produce text, they question it, they test it, and improve it. And AI makes that process more accessible because it allows students to engage in more revision cycles than they typically would in any traditional classroom. It brings the feedback closer to the moment of writing, where it can actually be used. There is a real risk here, though. If AI is allowed to generate or heavily rewrite the student's work, it will replace the very thinking students need to develop. That risk is already showing up anyway. But removing AI does not solve that problem. It turns us to a model that was not building strong writers in the first place. The more useful shift is to design writing tasks where thinking stays visible. Protect the first draft. Use AI to surface possibilities, not produce answers. Require students to explain their revision decisions. That is where writing improves. The question is not whether AI will stop students from learning to write. The question is whether we will finally teach writing as a process of thinking and not just a product to turn in.